The power of awareness is one of the central tenets in Stoic philosophy, and it acts as a kind of shield, protecting us from unexamined interactions and draining relationships. At its core, awareness is the practice of staying fully present in our interactions with others, observing not just the surface level actions, but also understanding the intentions, motives, and potential consequences of the people we allow into our lives. In our daily lives, it's easy to be swept along by relationships and routines without questioning them, to let social dynamics unfold without much scrutiny. But Stoicism teaches us that there's wisdom in taking a step back to observe carefully and reflect deeply before we engage too fully or too intimately with others. Awareness begins by recognizing patterns not just in others, but within ourselves. It calls for an understanding of why we are drawn to certain personalities, why we give certain people more energy than others, and why we may feel depleted or frustrated in particular relationships. The Stoic perspective encourages us to look at our relationships through a lens of rationality rather than mere emotion. By doing this, we start to see when we might be compromising our own peace for the sake of accommodating someone else's negativity or dysfunction. It's not about being detached or overly critical. It's about valuing our mental and emotional clarity enough to ensure that we're not passively accepting influences that undermine it. Being aware of the people around us also means being conscious of how they might influence our thoughts, decisions, and values. Humans are naturally social beings, and we are shaped by those we spend time with. Without awareness, we may unconsciously adopt the pessimism of a chronic complainer, the judgmental tendencies of an arrogant person, or the perpetual dissatisfaction of someone who lacks integrity. The Stoics understood that while we can't control who we encounter, we can control how much influence we allow them to have. Our awareness is the practice of noticing when we're being pulled into other people's emotional storms or irrational thinking patterns, and choosing not to let these forces sway us from our own path. But awareness requires us to cultivate a kind of internal quiet, a steady, calm observation that doesn't react impulsively. It's a mindful watchfulness that allows us to recognize when someone's behavior crosses a boundary, when their energy drains rather than uplifts, or when their intentions might be self-serving rather than genuinely caring. Stoicism teaches that awareness helps us maintain emotional resilience, because once we understand someone's tendencies, we're less likely to be blindsided or hurt by their actions. In this way, awareness becomes a form of armor, enabling us to interact from a place of strength and clarity instead of vulnerability and assumption. Furthermore, awareness isn't just about spotting the traits we need to guard against, it's also about recognizing the qualities in others that bring value and positivity into our lives. When we're aware, we're better equipped to notice the people who genuinely support us, who celebrate our achievements, and who contribute to our growth. This discernment allows us to cultivate relationships that are grounded in mutual respect and authenticity rather than superficial connection or obligation. Through this practice, awareness becomes not just a defense mechanism, but a tool for building a more fulfilling life surrounded by those who align with our values and encourage us to become our best selves. Ultimately, the Stoic approach to awareness is a call to live with intentionality. When we're aware, we're not merely existing or reacting, we're choosing with care and wisdom the people we engage with and the relationships we nurture. Awareness lets us observe without judgment, to see others as they truly are, and to act accordingly, rooted in our own values and guided by a sense of purpose that isn't easily shaken by the influence of others. The danger of complainers lies not only in the act of complaining itself, but in the subtle, often unspoken impact it has on everyone around them. Complaining can seem harmless after all. It's a way to vent frustrations, release tension, and express dissatisfaction. However, for someone who habitually complains, this negative outlook can become their default mindset, affecting how they interpret situations and, in turn, how others start to perceive the world around them. When we're frequently exposed to someone's complaints, we begin to absorb their pessimism, almost like secondhand smoke. We start noticing what's wrong more readily than what's right, becoming more sensitive to obstacles than opportunities, and gradually adopting a more critical lens on the world. The Stoics understood this danger well, recognizing that habitual complainers create an environment that's hard to escape, subtly pulling others into their cycle of negativity. Complaining, when it becomes a habit, breeds a culture of blame and victimhood. Instead of taking responsibility, complainers often fixate on what others have done wrong, what circumstances are unfavorable, or how they're perpetually at the mercy of external forces. This mindset leaves little room for solutions because a complainer rarely seeks to resolve or address their grievances constructively. Instead, their focus is on highlighting what's not working, often with a sense of resignation or bitterness that makes positive change feel impossible. For those around them, this creates an atmosphere of helplessness. The energy in the room shifts from possibility to impossibility, from empowerment to defeat. Even if we don't consciously realize it, spending time around people who constantly see themselves as victims or focus on what's lacking can make us start to feel as if we're also stuck or limited in ways that might not actually be true. Complainers can also create a subtle pressure for those around them to join in on their mindset. When someone voices a complaint, there's often an unspoken expectation for others to agree, to validate their frustration, or even to add their own grievances to the mix. This creates a kind of social bond based on shared dissatisfaction rather than shared goals, aspirations, or positivity. It's a dangerous type of bond, one that connects people over what they dislike rather than what they love, over what's broken rather than what's possible. It's easy to fall into this trap because as social beings, we naturally want to relate to others, to find common ground, and to validate each other's feelings. However, when that common ground becomes rooted in negativity, it can foster a group dynamic that perpetuates a pessimistic outlook, keeping everyone in a cycle of complaint rather than solution. Moreover, habitual complainers are often resistant to change. Their focus remains fixed on what's wrong rather than how to make it right. So even when solutions are presented, they may dismiss them, finding reasons why those solutions won't work. This resistance can be incredibly draining for those around them, especially for people who are naturally optimistic or solution-oriented. Imagine the frustration of constantly offering support, insights, or suggestions only to be met with rejection or skepticism. This dynamic can lead to a sense of hopelessness, as it feels as though nothing will ever be enough to satisfy the complainer. For those who seek to build a life of growth, positivity, and resilience, this kind of constant resistance can chip away at their energy and enthusiasm, making it harder to maintain a proactive, forward-looking approach. A further danger is that complainers tend to focus on the negative in both people and situations, often missing the good that exists right in front of them. This negativity bias can influence how we start to view ourselves and others. Spending time with someone who continually criticizes, highlights flaws, or finds fault can slowly make us more self-critical, less forgiving, and more likely to find problems rather than possibilities. We may even begin to second-guess our own achievements or lose confidence in our ability to make a difference. Over time, this erodes our self-esteem and our trust in others, making us less open to relationships and opportunities that could bring us joy, fulfillment, or growth. In the Stoic view, complainers are seen as disruptive to the pursuit of inner peace and resilience. When we become entangled in their web of dissatisfaction, we risk losing our own mental clarity, our ability to see things as they truly are, and our focus on what truly matters. Their complaints often distract from deeper reflections on gratitude, acceptance, and constructive action, replacing them with a narrow focus on what's missing or imperfect. For a Stoic, life's inevitable challenges are not a reason to complain, but an invitation to strengthen our character. The influence of the arrogant is subtle, yet powerful enough to distort how we perceive ourselves, others, and the world around us. Arrogance at its core is a defense mechanism, a false sense of superiority that someone builds in an attempt to mask their insecurities and vulnerabilities. But while arrogance may create an illusion of confidence, it often leads to deeper issues of disconnection, ego inflation, and a refusal to learn. The Stoics, with their profound understanding of human nature, knew that arrogance wasn't simply an annoying trait, it was a force that could prevent personal growth, limit relationships, and stifle collective progress. Being around arrogant people can lead us to question our worth, to doubt our abilities, and even to compromise our own values. What makes arrogance so dangerous is not just its external expression, but its ability to subtly shape the way we see the world and interact with others. One of the most pervasive effects of arrogance is its refusal to acknowledge the value in others. Arrogant individuals often operate from a place of "I know better" and dismiss or undermine the perspectives, knowledge, or experiences of those around them. They believe that their way of thinking is the only right way, often disregarding the wisdom that others bring to the table. This not only creates an atmosphere of exclusion, but also stifles creativity and collaboration. In environments where arrogance is prevalent, innovation and learning are stunted because the focus is always on proving oneself right, rather than engaging in thoughtful discussion or considering diverse viewpoints. The Stoics believed in the power of intellectual humility, the understanding that no one knows everything and that growth comes from constantly learning from others. Arrogant people, however, reject this mindset, believing their own wisdom is all they need to succeed. This creates an unhealthy dynamic where people feel unheard, unappreciated, or undervalued, leading to frustration and disengagement. Another significant consequence of arrogance is its toxic effect on relationships. Whether personal or professional, relationships thrive on mutual respect, empathy, and an openness to others' feelings and needs. Arrogance, by its very nature, blocks these essential ingredients. When someone acts with arrogance, they create a dynamic where others feel diminished or inferior. This can lead to resentment, a lack of trust, and a breakdown in communication. The arrogant individual may believe they are leading or guiding others, but in reality, they are alienating those they should be collaborating with. Their unwillingness to listen, to admit mistakes, or to accept feedback undermines the very foundation of meaningful relationships. Over time, these toxic dynamics can spread, creating a culture of division where people either become passive to avoid conflict or lash out in frustration at the arrogance they encounter. In addition to distancing others, the arrogant person also isolates themselves in a deeper sense. Their need to be seen as superior prevents them from experiencing true connection or intimacy with others. Arrogance creates barriers not only in the way that they interact with the world, but in how they view the world. They see themselves as above it all, which prevents them from truly engaging with the experiences and emotions of others. This emotional distance robs them of the richness of shared vulnerability, empathy, and human connection. Stoicism teaches that emotional resilience and growth are only possible when we are open to the experiences of others, when we allow ourselves to be challenged by different perspectives and learn from the lives and stories of those around us. Arrogance, however, rejects this openness, preventing the kind of growth that comes from deep, meaningful relationships. Arrogance also cultivates a mindset of rigidity. A person who is arrogant in their beliefs, skills, or knowledge often refuses to consider change or growth because they are so attached to the idea that they are already correct. This inflexibility can limit not only personal development, but also the ability to adapt to new situations or respond to challenges in a constructive way. The Stoics placed a high value on adaptability, on the ability to remain calm and open-minded when life throws unexpected obstacles our way. They understood that true wisdom comes from the capacity to see things as they are without the distortion of ego. Arrogant people, however, are often so bound to their version of reality that they miss out on new opportunities or fail to recognize areas where they could improve. This lack of growth leaves them stuck, unable to evolve in the way that life demands. Finally, the arrogance that we encounter in others can often reflect a mirror to our own insecurities, making us doubt ourselves. When we're surrounded by arrogance, it becomes easy to question our own abilities, to start comparing ourselves to the inflated self-image of someone else. Arrogant people often seek to put others down in order to elevate themselves, and this tactic can be insidious. Their words or actions might subtly convince us that we are not enough or that we need to prove ourselves to be worthy of respect. In this way, arrogance doesn't just affect the person displaying it, it also has a ripple effect on those around them, causing insecurity and self-doubt. Stoicism teaches us to be grounded in our own values, to understand our worth from within, and to not be swayed by the opinions of others. Arrogance, however, operates in direct opposition to this by creating a culture where worth is defined by comparison, external validation, and the need for constant affirmation. The influence of the arrogant person is not one that should be underestimated. While their behavior may seem harmless or even amusing at times, it can have deep, long-lasting effects on both the individuals they interact with and the broader environment in which they exist. The Stoic wisdom of humility, openness, and the value of continual learning and growth acts as a shield against the corrosive influence of arrogance. The challenge is not just to protect ourselves from arrogant individuals, but to recognize and guard against any tendencies within ourselves that may echo their behaviors. Only by cultivating true humility can we break free from the trap of arrogance and create the space for genuine connection, growth, and collaboration. Integrity is one of the most foundational qualities a person can possess, yet its true value is often overlooked in favor of more tangible accomplishments, external validation, or momentary successes. At its core, integrity is about being whole, being consistent with who we are, no matter the circumstances. It's about aligning our thoughts, actions, and values in such a way that they remain steadfast, regardless of external pressure or the temptation to compromise. The Stoics understood that integrity isn't something we do, it is something we are. It's a reflection of our character and our commitment to living truthfully, both with ourselves and with others. In a world where the pressure to conform, to fit in, or to seek validation from external sources can be overwhelming, integrity stands as a silent yet powerful force that keeps us grounded, honest, and aligned with our deeper purpose. One of the greatest aspects of integrity is that it is inherently self-affirming. When we act with integrity, we are not seeking the approval of others or chasing after superficial rewards. Instead, we are acting from a place of internal clarity, guided by a set of values that are meaningful to us. This internal consistency allows us to face the world with confidence because we know that our actions are congruent with our beliefs. This alignment between what we believe and how we act creates an inner peace that is rare and unshakable. We don't have to look over our shoulder worried about being exposed for dishonesty or deceit because we know that we've remained true to ourselves no matter the external outcomes. Integrity also creates a foundation for trust, both within ourselves and in our relationships with others. Trust is not something that can be demanded or coerced. It must be earned through consistent actions over time. When we consistently act with integrity, we prove ourselves reliable and dependable, not only in our words, but in our actions. We don't say one thing and do another. We are true to our commitments, regardless of how difficult they might be to uphold. This builds trust not just with others, but with ourselves, as we learn that we can count on ourselves to do what is right, even when it's not the easiest or most popular choice. The Stoics understood that integrity isn't just about doing what's right when others are watching, it's about doing what's right when no one else is around. It's in these moments of solitude, when we are alone with our thoughts, that our true character is revealed. Another important value of integrity is that it cultivates a sense of responsibility. Integrity is not passive, it's an active commitment to being accountable for our actions and their consequences. We take ownership of our choices, acknowledging the impact they have on ourselves and others. There is no deflection, no blaming others or circumstances for the outcomes we experience. Instead, integrity invites us to step up, to hold ourselves accountable, and to learn from our mistakes. This doesn't mean that we are perfect or that we won't make errors. On the contrary, acting with integrity means that when we do make mistakes, we face them honestly and with a willingness to make amends. It's a commitment to self-improvement, not perfection, understanding that the journey of integrity is about constant growth and the courage to admit when we've gone astray. Integrity also serves as a powerful guide in moments of temptation or challenge. In difficult situations where the right decision may be unclear or the consequences of our actions are uncertain, integrity acts as a moral compass. It provides us with a clear sense of direction, reminding us of the values we have chosen to live by. The Stoics believed in the power of inner virtue to guide us through the storms of life. In moments when we are faced with a choice between what is right and what is easy, what is ethical and what is convenient, integrity helps us remain grounded, even when the pressure to choose the latter is overwhelming. It's a silent strength that doesn't rely on external validation or recognition, but instead stems from a deep sense of inner conviction. Integrity helps us stay true to who we are, regardless of how much external pressure we face to compromise or to take shortcuts. In relationships, integrity is the bedrock on which all healthy, trusting, and meaningful connections are built. Whether in our personal relationships, friendships, or professional endeavors, integrity ensures that we show up as authentic, reliable, and trustworthy individuals. It fosters respect, because others know that when we say something, we mean it. We don't speak out of one side of our mouth and act differently on the other. Our word becomes our bond, and others can count on us to honor our commitments, even when it's difficult or inconvenient. This builds a kind of mutual respect that cannot be easily shaken by external circumstances or challenges. It creates a culture of accountability and reliability where people feel safe and secure in knowing that their values align with those around them. Living with integrity also requires us to confront the uncomfortable truths about ourselves. It's easy to hide behind facades and put on a mask and pretend that we are something we're not. But true integrity demands that we face ourselves honestly and work towards becoming the best versions of ourselves, no matter how challenging that might be. This may mean confronting our own weaknesses, acknowledging our past mistakes, and making the conscious decision to act differently moving forward. It may also mean standing firm in our convictions, even when others disagree with us or attempt to push us off course. Integrity requires courage, the courage to be vulnerable, to be honest, and to live according to a set of values that are true to who we are, even when it's not the easiest path to take. Finally, integrity allows us to live in alignment with our deeper purpose. When we act with integrity, we are not swayed by the fleeting distractions of life, the opinions of others, or the demands of external circumstances. Instead, we are focused on living a life that is meaningful, purposeful, and true to our deepest values. Integrity keeps us grounded in our beliefs, helping us make decisions that are consistent with our greater purpose. In doing so, it provides us with a sense of fulfillment that cannot be found in external validation, material success, or fleeting pleasure. The satisfaction that comes from living in alignment with our values is enduring and powerful. It is the kind of peace that cannot be disturbed by external events or circumstances because it is rooted in something far deeper, our true, authentic selves. In conclusion, integrity is the cornerstone of personal growth, authentic relationships, and meaningful success. It shapes who we are at our core, guiding us through challenges and opportunities alike. When we act with integrity, we align our actions with our values, creating an inner peace and confidence that external validation can never provide. Integrity builds trust, fosters accountability, and helps us stay true to ourselves, even when faced with difficult choices. It is a constant reminder that our character is defined by our actions, not our circumstances. Living with integrity means being honest with ourselves, taking responsibility for our choices, and staying committed to our higher purpose, regardless of the temptations or pressures around us. Ultimately, integrity is not just about doing what is right, it is about becoming the person we are meant to be and leading a life that reflects our truest selves.